Welcome to the Parenting Tips Podcast. I'm Jeff Reiland, child and family therapist. In this episode, we'll be talking about how to create a language-rich environment for your child and why that matters. As we go through this episode, consider keeping track of the ways that you already create a language-rich environment for your child. And if there are some additional ideas that you learn from this podcast episode, I hope you consider trying them out. The idea for creating an episode on this topic was a result of reading a recent study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics about the relationship between the amount of time young children spend on screens and the language delays that appear to occur as a result. This information is not new. Concerns have been raised by researchers and child development experts for several decades as our lives are ever more entwined with technology. In the study, researchers tracked the amount of time children and parents were engaged in conversations and used words around each other, and they also tracked how much time televisions and other electronic devices were on each day in the household. It may come as no surprise to learn that as the amount of screen time went up, including background television, the amount of language and the conversation used in the house between parents and toddlers went down. In fact, a term has been coined to describe this phenomena. It's called technoference. Technoference describes the kind of costs, sometimes hidden costs, that are associated with how technology, like recreational screen time, is getting in the way of social and emotional learning for children. It is not that screens or television viewing for children older than age 3 are bad. It's usually the amount of screen time viewing and the quality of what is viewed that is the problem. For very young children, infants to age 2 and from 2 to 3, co-watching programs with parents or participating in family Zoom calls or FaceTime is okay. It's encouraged. Beyond this, kids are not really making much out of what they're watching. Surveys estimate that the average 3-year-old watches about 3 hours of television, video games, and tablet time per day. This is where technoference comes in. What may be significant is what the child is not doing during this time. Researchers estimate, based on studies tracking language used in homes and simultaneously tracking screen time, that children miss out on 1,139 words spoken by adults around them, 843 vocalizations that they make to communicate, and 194 conversational turns, an interaction between parents and children each day. So why has screen time become an issue in recent years? And why do parents allow kids to have as much screen time as they appear to have? Let's take a quick glance back in time at the number of screens available in the average household in America. We'll look at surveys about screens in 1970, 2014, and 2024. In 1970, there was no internet. Most Americans had one television in their household, and that had a limited number of broadcast channels. I remember. In 2014, surveys of digital gadgets or electronics that could connect to the internet, including televisions, video games, cell phones, tablets, numbered around 8 in the average household. This year, just 10 years later, 2024, surveys show that the number of screens has more than doubled to 17 or more in an average household. And so it's clear families are increasingly plugged in and at the very same time, increasingly disconnected from each other. There are many possible explanations for why screen use in households has gone up in the past several decades besides just the number of screens. The first is that parents' own use of screen time has gone up. With access to more screens and options for entertainment and social media, screen time can consume a lot of time. And we're not talking about screens related to work or doing our business, paying our bills, shopping, those kinds of things. We're talking about recreational screen time. Another factor is that kids tend to be quiet when they're plugged in. And there's a perception that kids are safe at home when they're on a device. There's also a bandwagon effect. Everyone has one, or many devices. Parents might think, all my kids' friends have one. We need to get this a device for our kids to fit in or belong. So the reasoning goes. At many levels, this all makes sense. But like many other things, screen time in moderation is best. When young children have too much screen time, problems can start to occur. And that does appear to be true when television is on as background noise. Parents use fewer words, children use fewer words, and the number of parent-child conversations back and forth goes down. So how does too much technology affect social and emotional learning? Well, it has to do with brain development. As children grow, they begin to explore their worlds. All of the sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and things that they can touch, they're curious by nature, but they don't have words yet for all the things they experience. And this is where we can help. It's a term called scaffolding. Scaffolding is a way that we as parents can help our children to develop their language by using words. We help them by describing the actions and the things that your child is experiencing and making learning new words fun. When children engage in scaffolding, they provide just the right amount of support at just the right time when children need it. They provide this support until the child has more firmly learned the new skill or learn more language. In this episode, we're going to explore ways to do just that. While you as an adult may need only one demonstration or one reminder to remember things, and keep in mind that you have an adult brain, children need many reminders. Repetition over time is how children master new skills. Think back to all the effort it took in your childhood to learn how to get dressed, potty train, eat by yourself, and walk. The same is true for your child. Think of all the effort it has taken for your child to learn how to get dressed, potty train, eat by themselves, and walk. And these are just a few examples of some of the big events in their lives. There are so many more. While some children can quickly master a handful of things, most new experiences and skills take time and repetition, day after day, week after week, month after month, sometimes many times each day before you start to see new skills stick. Some children learn quickly, others seem to be in no hurry, and then all of a sudden they have all these new words and new skills. Each child is different in this way. So in order to give them the best shot at learning new things and developing language at a steady pace, it's important to help create a language-rich environment. What does this mean? It means that in your home, there are many opportunities throughout the day for your child to be exposed to many different interactions with you and others in the family that can help them to develop language. Language develops best when kids experience language in the context of real-time, in-person relationships through conversations and interactions with trusted adults and siblings. The solution to this problem is to have a language-rich environment at home. And there are so many ways to do this. As your child explores their space, describe what you see them doing. For example, if your child is picking up toys and examining each one, even taste testing it, describe what you see them doing. Imagine that you are like an announcer or sportscaster at a game, giving moment-by-moment accounts of what is happening on the field or court. It's the same way with children. Your descriptions using words helps them to make associations between the object they have in front of them and the word that describes it. An added bonus of doing this is that your child knows that you're really paying attention to them and you're not distracted by your phone. Another way is to use your own words and describe what it is you are doing at the moment when you're with your child. You might be cutting up vegetables for dinner or scooping up toys to help put them away or straightening up chairs around the table after a meal. Describing what you are doing in the moment you're doing it helps your child to connect the dots between your words and your actions. In these ways, you're scaffolding or modeling for your child. Here's an example. Let's say that you're checking on the garbage under the sink. You might say, I'm just checking the garbage to see if it needs to go outside. Yep, I can smell your baby brother's stinky diaper in there. I'll just pull this bag out, twist the top to seal it, and put in a fresh bag. There, no more stinky smell. What does your child learn from that experience? A lot of words, maybe some humor. When interacting with your child in play, on car rides, at dinner, use words to describe what you see them doing. Ask them questions. Invite them to share their ideas about how things work. When you're reading a book to your child, have you ever noticed they sometimes lose interest? Maybe there are too many words. Maybe they're not in the mood. Try using the book as a tool for learning by telling stories about the pictures in the book. Ignore the words. Turn a book with pictures into a search and discover experience. Label the objects in the pictures and tell a story about what might be happening based on what's in the picture. Use the pictures in the book to tell the story. Your child may become more interested if you can animate the book through the pictures and let your child describe what they think is happening on each page. This may keep your child's interest longer and continue to help them in learning new words. When having a conversation with your child, notice how many turns in the conversation occur. Do each of you only say one thing? That's a one-turn conversation. Try to have conversations that start to climb above 5 or more turns in the conversation. The more turns in the conversation, the deeper and the broader the topics can range. This often involves you being able to ask those important questions that draw out your child's thoughts into words. It can take time. Children are still learning how to have conversations. Even some adults struggle with this. Here are some starting phrases. Tell me more. That's really interesting. And then what happened? What part did you like best? Look for ways to deepen and lengthen the conversation with your child. Tell stories about your day and ask them about the details of the stories they tell about their day. Who, what, where, when, and how are starting point questions. What happened today? Who was there? Tell me about the best part of your day. What made it so fun? Tell me about the hardest part of your day. What made it hard? Tell me more. That's really interesting. And then what happened? You sound excited to share about this. What happened next? Offer specific praise to encourage your child to continue sharing. You might say, Jamie, that was really fun. I enjoyed hearing you tell all about your day and what you saw and did on the field trip to the park. I can't wait for us to talk with Grandma about it so you can share your experiences with her. Or at the end of the day, as you're putting your child to bed, you can share that one of the best parts of your day was when they shared about their day. This can help encourage your child to understand how important their conversation is for you. Tell stories. It's important for your children to hear and respond to stories told by special people in their lives, their parents and other close family members. Imagine your child listening as you or a grandparent starts a story with, "You'll never guess what happened to me today, last week, while on vacation, when I was your age." Right away, the child's hooked in, waiting for the story to be told. These experiences can be magical. Start fun and make-believe stories with Once Upon a Time. I have fond memories of weaving together different elements to create bedtime stories for my children many years ago. They would each pick something they wanted in the story. The story always involved 3 children, of course, who were the heroes of the tale. There may be a pirate ship, a castle, and a space rocket, all part of the same story. My children, now adults, still talk about those stories. Involve your child in conversations with others. If you're talking with a friend or family member, look for ways to involve your young child so they feel like they're part of the conversation. Do they know their age? Can they share their favorite color or favorite thing to do at the park? Asking open-ended questions helps children to think and talk even more. An open-ended question does not end with a one-word answer. Open-ended questions invite the child to think and use their imagination. How does this work? Where do you think it goes? Why does it do that? What do you think about this? What do you like about this? What if we did this instead? What do you think will happen next? One fun and familiar way to increase language in the home is through singing. There are many wonderful children's songs that parents and children can sing along with. These songs can help children learn about the words while having fun. What are the favorite songs you and your children already know? It almost goes without saying to follow pediatric guidelines for screen time with young children. But this could be a tall order. Many parents use screens for their kids as a short-term break to get some tasks done. This is completely understandable. Please watch that it does not creep into your child's life so much that everything else becomes unimportant. And this can happen. Pediatric screen time recommendations are discussed in episodes 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 of this podcast. Pay attention to the quality of programming. During that small window of time your children are watching a screen, show them programs that are developed for children, like PBS Kids or Sesame Street. Watch how your own screen time is keeping you from being fully present for your child. Why does all this matter? Young children's brain development is use-dependent. When certain parts of the brain are underused, they don't develop their full potential. What is not used may not develop properly. Children learn best in a safe, structured, nurturing, and language-rich environment. When less language is used by parents or caregivers in the home, in part because of technoference, this has an impact on the development of language. Language is a key tool for children to learn social and emotional self-regulation skills. We typically see a drop in aggressive behavior as children go through their toddler years and enter kindergarten. Language helps the child learn valuable skills for cooperative play, turn-taking, sharing, problem-solving, and engaging in flexible thinking. In the words of Dimitri Christakis, pediatrician and pioneer in the research on the effect of screen time on the developing brains of young children, when you change the beginning of the story, you change the whole story. Here's an opportunity for you as a parent to change the beginning of the story by creating a language-rich environment for your child. So ask yourself, what do you already do? What do you think you could add to your toolbox that could further help your child's language development? There are many options and many opportunities to choose from. Thank you for tuning in and considering this parenting topic. I hope that this information added to your growing toolbox for parenting your child or children. Please consider exploring other topics in this series. Remember, no one parenting tool can do everything. We need many tools to become the best parents for our children. Your children's future depends on you and the time and effort you invest in them today.